Everybody, welcome to Snow Talk. Brian Good here, keeping you updated on very latest on the longer term especially, but I do want to cover the weekend system. Lauren, of course, will have an update on midday at 11 a.m. today, and Christy will this evening on the evening news. We are now behind 0.7 inches for year to date. Nothing in the gauge yet. On the board, two systems of interest. I know, you're like, whoa, two systems. 19th to the 20th, I'll explain that one. And 22nd through the 26th, gotta put in there because it's Christmas, of course, but it is an active period, so it is something that is worth putting as an interest. So I'll explain that in a second. First off, the fog. You can see, I love this image here, where you can really see on the sensitive mode of the satellite, I can really see the fog expanding this morning. Start off in southern Kentucky and just drifted into southern Indiana. And then we got some high clouds streaming in from the west. So as soon as we get rid of the fog, we get high clouds to replace that. So it's not going to be a perfectly blue sky kind of a day today. I'm afraid that is going to affect our high temperature. I'm still hoping that we can get into the 60s, but we may get stuck only in the 50s today based on these trends. And again, not a lot coming our way, but again, with the warm flow that's going to be developing as we have for the next few days. Again, as we get cyclogenesis developing across Texas, this energy joins up as well from the northwest. I mean, this is going to be a pretty potent storm that's going to take its sweet time tracking to the north and east. Let me get started here on Futurecast. This is showing the wind arrows and the wind potential gust. It's important I say that, potential gust, max potential. Doesn't mean that's exactly how windy it's going to be. It just means max potential, and I wanted to point that out for a reason because it'll be gusty at times. Now, Friday morning, tomorrow morning, not bad. Cloudy around, still a good south flow throughout most of the day. Friday night to the Saturday, we start to get a little bit of drizzle mixed in, get some gusty winds starting to pick up as the warm front passes through. Now, we may get some sun to break in here on Saturday. We'll watch that for locally enhanced winds. But I think that sun, depending on how quickly it moves in, could be just the kicker here to get us to that record-breaking 70. And then as we head into Sunday, at least we'll start off with partly cloudy sky. I think we'll be partly cloudy throughout the day. And we'll see these winds. This is only in the morning hours. This is as far as the model can go. I think these winds will go much higher. Let me show you why. Here's the GFS sounding from Louisville. Again, here's ground level, and here's the airplane level up above. I know it's hard to read the indices here, so we'll get into that in a second. But you notice that Sunday afternoon, there's still a decent amount of pockets of dry air. Now, the clouds begin to build up in the afternoon hours, but I really think most areas will stay dry. Anything that falls will probably be very, very light, if anything at all. We're not talking about severe weather or anything like that. But then we get into Sunday night in the evening time frame, say 8 or 9 o'clock. Look how strong these winds are just above our heads. 60 miles per hour, or 60 knots, excuse me. And a good low-level jet kicks in, and we're saturated all the way up. I mean, you got the red and the green touching each other all the way up. So by all means, fully saturated, heavy rain event. Severe indices are not there, so we're not worried about that because, again, you notice the arrows are all some same direction. So it's a speed shear more than anything, and that just means gusty winds. If the storms can grow tall enough into the 60-knot range here, some of those winds can make it down to the ground, but that's kind of iffy because there's not much cape to be able to pull them down. And then as we do Monday morning, just after rush hour, we begin to dry out, top down, as typically the case with fronts. So we begin to shut off the rain machine slowly. The wind direction is more northwest, and temperatures likely will fall throughout the rest of the day. Now you read this is the total precip. You read this the opposite direction here, from the right to the left is how you read it in time. And it shows that some spotty areas of drizzle possible Friday into early Saturday. Again, not a lot. The main rain event is right here, Sunday night into Monday, and it's giving us about 3/4 of an inch of rain potentially. A little bit of rain with the weak system on Wednesday, and then, yeah, it's a little blue showing up. Maybe a little bit of light snow later in next week. That's, again, the GFS. So let's look at the models here. Again, here's the deterministic models, and here are the ensembles. And when you look at them top down, this is GFS, there's the Euro, and here's the Canadian. Now, we're going to lose the Canadian operational model here shortly because it doesn't go out very far in time. But this is taking us to the latter portion of next week, near the 19th. Notice that they all have a decent low pressure moving through the upper Ohio Valley. Now, the Canadian's much further to the south with this. The ensembles, the GFS ensemble doesn't really show. The Euro does, and the Canadian hints at it anyway. But I think the Euro has a much better idea on this setup, so we're likely going to warm up next week ahead of this system, probably near 60 again, and then we'll see a crash will happen after that will set the stage for some cold weather. Now, this is looking at the following weekend, not this weekend, but the next weekend. Now, the GFS, of course, shows a storm moving by with wraparound snow over us, and the Euro is dry. It doesn't even show a storm system, but the Euro does show a nice cold dip moving our way, and so does the Canadian. So confidence is growing that between the 17th or so of December through that weekend, next weekend, that we will see a decent cold snap, highs probably in the 30s. Now, whether we get any snow or not depends if we have any energy right along that boundary. GFS is yes. Right now, the Euro, not too thrilled. We'll watch it and see. And then we get into Christmas. Well, we don't have operational models to use for the ones that we usually would like to look at. But once again, the GFS is just gun-ho on a nor'easter that just plows some cold air Christmas morning and snow. It's almost textbook snow for Christmas. The ensemble, not so much matching. In fact, the Euro is a little colder than that, and the Canadian a little warmer. It's still far out. But, again, I'm going to keep it on the list just in case. It is interesting to note, though, I will pass this along, that as we look at the Euro snowfall map through the next weekend, it is showing the potential for snow to be accumulating closer and closer to us. So I do think that colder line, the line that has been so stubborn, it gets about here every time, may start to line itself up a little more over us starting next weekend into Christmas. And that is going to set the battleground down for warm-ups to cold and snow on the backside, probably. But if we get lucky enough, maybe, and I'm not trying to wish cast, I promise you. But maybe we can get a deep enough trough to where the storm track's more like this, to where the entire event is mostly snow. Well, wouldn't that be nice? And right on Christmas, too. Wouldn't that be nice to have record warmth in the 70s, and then right at the time when we want the snow on Christmas Day, it snows? I know, I probably just jinxed it. But hey, at least it's something to track. Confidence is low. We'll see how it goes. See you tomorrow.